Welcome to the Cool Health Podcast, where we unlock groundbreaking research in health and wellness by bringing you the latest in health news and in-depth interviews with experts in their fields. We're here to make health cool again.
So there's a paper came out, and it's basically how all these generative AI models are going to collapse on themselves and basically start pumping out just straight falsities. And you're not going to be able to discern what is real and what is false anymore.
Oh, it's time to thank the amazing sponsor of this podcast, Alitura Naturals, my go-to destination for high-quality skincare products made with the finest ingredients. At Alitura, they use the most pure, nutrient-rich ingredients at the core of every product. From things like wild-crafted sea buckthorn and organic aloe vera to grass-fed colostrum and organic cacao butter. Each of the ingredients is thoughtfully selected, and it has these incredible healing and nourishing properties. Why do I choose them over other skincare? I mean, just from their all-natural ingredients, guys. Alitura takes pride in using only ethically sourced, natural, and organic materials to create their powerful formulas, ensuring your skin gets the best possible care without harsh chemicals. It's scientifically proven and effective. Each ingredient in their products is backed by thorough scientific research to maximize effectiveness in supporting skin health and anti-aging. And finally, it was created by an expert, Andy Nilo, a former model and actor, founded Alitura after a life-changing accident, and this led him to develop his own transformative skincare solutions. So, guys, join the thousands of satisfied customers who have discovered the stunning results of Alitura's exceptional skincare line. Use my code JEK20, all caps JEK20. Get yourself a discount. This stuff is truly amazing, guys. Thank Hostage Tape. We're here to discover the revolutionary way to improve your sleep and overall health. Mouth taping is a natural and effective method for promoting nasal breathing during sleep, which unlocks a world of incredible benefits, including enhanced sleep quality, reduced snoring, improved mental focus, and boosted overall health. Also, it's a safe and comfortable design, especially designed to be hypoallergenic, gentle on the skin, and easy to remove. It allows you to get in deep sleep states, and I'm telling you, when I put on my Oura Ring and check my scores, they're always so much better when I use Hostage Tape. For the discount code, guys, it's going to be John67447 for 10% off. Once again, John67447 for 10% off. If you really want to enhance your sleep, get amazing deep sleep, and feeling incredibly refreshed, there's Cresci. Welcome to the podcast, dude.
Excited, man. Excited. Cool.
First podcast?
Yes, first podcast.
Sweet.
Honored you asked me.
Oh, thanks. You seemed excited.
I was very, very excited.
I'm glad you were, because most people, they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about?
I definitely had those feelings, but right. I was also super excited. So yeah.
Cool. And the reason I wanted to bring you on was because I initially met you through, you could say, the club. I met you because you booked me to DJ one of your parties. And then later, we started getting to know each other, and I'm like, whoa, he does big time work in business and some technology stuff. And he's got dogs and an awesome girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, something else is into him. And then we talked, and you're like, oh yeah, we can talk about AI, music, and work. So I'm like, we have yet to discuss any of this on the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to make this almost like a lifestyle thing. So I don't want to say who are you, but like what's going on in your world right now? Let's start there and we can distill it.
Yeah, totally. So
you said executive stuff.
Yeah, so I do people like to think I live two lives right now.
Okay.
On one side, Monday through Friday, I am a chief data and analytics officer, executive program manager. So what I do is, that's kind of a local. So what that is I work for a big company called Gartner, and within that, they're a big research advisory firm. So your top Fortune 500 companies, their executives come to us to get insights into what's going on in the world, in the market, and to get that kind of data that they need to make those executive decisions for their organizations.
Interesting.
So within that company, I work for something called Avanta, and we are exclusive C-level communities for these executives. So what I focus on is the Texas market, and so I have two communities. I have a Dallas and a Houston Chief Data and Analytics Officer group. And what this is basically a little private club for them. It is invite only. It is complimentary to our members. And it's just an exclusive area where these are truly, I mean, we have in Houston, the CDO of Chevron is a part of our group. Up here, we have members, high executive data members from Bank of America and other companies. They have to be 1 billion plus revenue organizations in order to join. So it's quite a step. But what this is a safe place for them to come organize events and gatherings, and they get to decide the topics they want to talk about. And what I do in all of that is I organize and act as the glue for the community. So I vet individuals who want to come in and out, who will apply or ask or get invited to join. And then from there, I also work with the executives daily. I have awesome relationships with some people I never would have thought that I would be a resource to.
Yeah.
And I get to figure out what exactly they want to talk about at these gatherings. And so, long story short, it's a little club for them to get together and throw actually really good executive gatherings where they can privately share insights at what these organizations are doing in the data space.
Right.
And then on top of that, on the weekends...
weekends now.
Yeah. So on the weekends, I run Audio Sound Club with a good buddy of mine, Griffin Garvey, who I brought on about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do there is, my whole key tagline is unique production in special locations. And we're really focused on encompassing the true dance music culture that Dallas has an awesome, really underground scene and a lot of really unique, cool individuals trying to push forward, but it's just not, it wasn't there when I was before Audio Sound Club.
Ooh, that's good. I want to go into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
You made this Audio Sound Club, and when I met you, it's like you were the sound guy from, when I first initially met. We went to the warehouse, and I'm like, this guy has freaking all of the gear. And did it start like that?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess backtracking, I was always into audio. It's what you call an audiophile. I literally would walk into bars and start talking shit about the audio in the roof. So I feel like, dude, we're coming here for lunch at Arby's. So I'm like, yeah, well, their speakers need to get redone,
Right.
But I did that because out of college, I DJed through college, had a small events company, acted as social chair, which kind of opened my eyes to a lot of that.
The fraternity.
And then I got out and I got hired with a company called PSAV, and we were doing high-end audio installs and production for like hotel venues.
Interesting.
And I did that for 5 years and really grinded at that. And that's where I really got into the audio stuff. And then outside of that, I was going to these events on the weekend, going to these after hours, these little more kind of underground scenes, and loved what everyone was doing, but the sound was just not there.
Where was this, by the way?
Here in Dallas.
Okay.
There are a couple of brands. There's always been groups doing it.
Yeah.
But I will say I don't think anyone has taken it to the production we've taken, and we can go there in a second. So that was where I was like, you know what? I had some friends who were running a group that were throwing shows every Friday at a venue, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy some speakers, and that's how I'm going to get involved. I'm going to be that guy because I wasn't DJing at the time. I wasn't really doing anything that would warrant anybody to want me to come into their promotion group or anything like to get involved in the scene. So I needed an in. I needed to find something that would make me useful. And so that was audio. And I was the only person who was willing to go out there, take a little loan out, get a bunch of speakers. And from there, everything took off. I mean, when people ask me, how did I get in this and how did I get to the, having the relationships I have, because I had speakers at a time when everybody needed them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you made yourself invaluable in a place when opportunity arose.
Yeah.
And, taking on that responsibility, that's big time. Taking out a loan for a risk that you don't know the foreseeable future about. So that's badass.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, there's a lot there too, getting to the point where I was able to make that decision. I mean, I was not the guy that was confident enough to do that forever. I mean, I did this when I was 26, 27. So I, even out of college, I just wasn't at that mindset. But basically what happened was 2020 hit and that whole AV installation business disappeared. So I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden I had nothing, got let go. So I was like, oh my gosh, kind of realized for the first time, I was like, all right, everything's in my hands. Like I really got to figure out what's next year.
Right.
And I recommitted to, the corporate way. And that's how that got to me to the Avanta stuff. But at the time I was like, it's now or not. Like if I'm not going to do something like Audio Sound Club now, when am I going to start this? And so it really took also just being kind of in that spot where I had to make a decision. And so I really do owe, I think, a lot to me being just kind of like in this situation where I wasn't comfortable. I didn't really know what was next, but I just had to decide like, all right, make a move or die kind of.
Whoa.
Being hyperbole, but
of course.
It's how it got me into Audio Sound Club. And I'm so happy I made that decision.
Yeah.
Because here we are and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
So that started 2020.
Yes, 2020.
Okay.
And I started doing speaker rentals like 2018, 2019. And then that's when I decided to kind of just start my own thing, was 2020. After kind of working with others and seeing what others were doing. Took elements I liked and left others I didn't.
Oh, interesting.
Created Audio Sound Club.
That's a great way to do things.
Yeah.
Take from what others are doing.
Yeah. And I owe a lot to the people that I worked with early on. I'll always give them credit. Still support their stuff to this day. So.
Yeah. So let me ask, how was that first party?
So the first party that we did on our own was actually awesome.
Okay.
So that was Relo at the Clover Club. R.I.P.
Oh,
Clover
really?
Club. Yeah. So that
I was there.
Yeah, man. And we did it in
were there.
8 to 12 show. 8 p.m. to 12, which is weird, but it was the only time anyone would let us into a venue. I mean, that's right there in terms of like wanting to start doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Getting someone to work with you that has a legit venue is very, very hard. But Clover Club opened up our doors thanks to one of my buddies, Jejun, John Garcia, shout out.
Oh, yeah.
He got us connected with them, and we ended up throwing that show with Relo, brought him in. It was our first big booking. I was so nervous. I remember I was literally shaking before because we just didn't know if people were going to show up.
Right.
We had about like 85 pre-sales, which is crazy good. But we thought like that was going to be it. And I mean, by the end of that night, it was packed. And we recorded the whole thing. It's on YouTube. And I think that also being able to show that party from there on, we've really never had a hard time filling our parties out. And I think it's because we put out that media early on. And we're like, look, you can, for 2 hours, you can watch us, at the Clover Club, and you can watch the crowd just dancing. No phones. It's amazing. There's phones here and there, but really people just really vibing and dancing in the moment. And I was like, man, we got to keep doing this.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking now, I'm like, what makes Audio Sound Club different and distinct from the other promoters out there? For some reason, when you go to one of your parties, there's like this sense of professionalism. Also, you're sticking to the roots, meaning like that old warehouse vibe combined with the high grade speakers. I mean, no hate on anyone, but sometimes when I first started going to a underground party, or you play this for $50 an hour at 4 a.m., it's like, oh my God, there's a bunch of tweakers there, and it's audio is shit, and there's no sub or anything. Yeah. So, good question. What started to get you credible? You said your buddy got you there, but what really defined Audio Sound Club? Yeah,
so we started doing trolley parties as well. And that's kind of what we first did, were these initial parties. And obviously I'll touch on working with Voltage, which now we basically do in co-ownership with Next Level West. Shout out to West Trimble. That's also a big, big ownership. Again, like just really giving credit where credit's due. But again, we first started out doing these recordings, and then we started throwing the trolley parties, which were super cool.
Hold on, what's a trolley party?
Yeah, so there's the M-Line trolley that goes around downtown Dallas.
Okay.
It goes to all parts of the city. It's a big loop. It's about an hour a loop. And what we do is we rent out one of these trolleys. It's about 40 people. And we bring on a full DJ setup, CDJs, everything. And we do 2 laps around the city. It's BYOB. It is a phenomenal time. We've really enjoyed doing them. We haven't had one lately. And we just learned actually that the M-Line has stopped doing those. They're not doing private charters anymore. But they're going to work with us on some special dates. So we're going to keep those going because we've got a really good relationship with them right now.
Yeah.
And we want to definitely keep building on that. But anyway, we were starting those. So again, something different, unique. And people were like, yo, no one's doing this.
No, literally.
And I think that was a big credit. Like just people getting drawn into Audio Sound Club because we just were providing something that no one else had. And so then whatever else we did, people were interested.
That's a sense of novelty that when you first came in the scene, what was the standard party like?
Yeah, I mean, people were killing it. You know, like, don't get me wrong. There was awesome. I mean, even before I was really getting involved in the scene here, there were some groups around that I never had the honor of going to see, but they, things happen
Yeah.
and groups disappear and then come back. But
Right.
there's always been a scene here in Dallas, I think, which a lot of people don't realize. So I definitely can't take any credit to, some people are like, man, you started underground. I'm like, no, no, no. Like
Started on the
I'm
ground.
very new to this.
Yeah.
And there's OGs that definitely deserve a lot more credit out there.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that really, again, just like encompasses what we do different is that, like you said, we're taking parties, right? Like you say that when I was here, I mean, they were great, but again, it just, like you said, the production wasn't there.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to It'll Do or some big music venue, and those, big music venues 5-6 years ago were not booking anybody that would be in terms of the house techno scene. They really still aren't. You get a lot of like the Disco Donnie, more EDM, I would say, which for those who don't understand that difference, there's a difference between EDM, house, and techno. And I think that's what you get a lot of, and that's what it was. You could either get this EDM-y, like clubby, just it wasn't what I was looking for. Yeah, mainstream sounds. Or you could get this really grungy, like you say, kind of tweaky afters where the sound is just not there, and you're like, man, I don't want to be here. So there was not this like perfect blend yet. And I think that was what was missing, was this like really good, solid, safe production of an After Hours where it encompasses just really more of the dancing elements, the crowd, and we encourage that crowd, right? It's not, there aren't people just doing degenerate stuff all around. I mean, we don't even allow that like out in the open.
No,
so
absolutely.
It is. It's really about the dancing. I think that's what we did different. We just knew what we needed to do, and we brought the production level to match it. So,
right on. And I'm wondering, it's funny you say no one's doing nonsense in the club, because when you go to a place, that really doesn't happen. But sometimes I see others, and they're like peeing on the ground and stuff. How do you make sure? Is it the security? Is it just the vibe that we do it right, or like?
That's a really interesting question. I've thought a lot about this because I would love to figure it out too. And I'm going to give credit to our crowds.
Yeah.
Because then in reality, there's nothing. I mean, we don't really have security walking around.
Not at
coming
all.
in, we'll pat you down, all that. But once you're in, I mean, you're in the safe zone. It is dark. The bass is pounding. No one's watching what you're doing. And everyone kind of, maintains their own business in terms of, but also like meshing with each other well. But I just give it to the crowd. It's the vibe you put out there. We don't, I don't know how to put this, but we're not like a cringy, crungy group. I mean, we're just a couple of people who really wanted to get some dance like culture going in Dallas, and just saw the avenue of the afters. And I really just give credit to the crowd, the people here. There's a really, really, really solid group of people here in Dallas, a big crowd that I don't think have enough to provide them. But they deserve it. Like, there's a really good scene here in Dallas, and I know people that aren't from Dallas might be like, Dallas music, techno. But it is. There's a really, really cool and a really awesome group of people here.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't even think that myself.
Yeah.
And I gotta go, oh wait. This, that. Oh yeah. Actually, that's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do.
We're definitely not LA. We're definitely not Chicago or New York, but that's another reason why I like doing what I'm doing here, because if I was in a city like that, Audio Sound Club wouldn't be what it was.
No.
I mean, we would be irrelevant probably, and I probably wouldn't have gotten as far as as we have. So again, there's just an open market here too. So.
And I'm from Chicago, and what I notice is that there's great people there too. But there's a lot of arrogance on the dance floor. There's a lot of just mainstream, Chad 1 and 2 spilled the beer on you and this and that. That happens everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like when you go to the big cities, that happens more frequent. So
yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because what I always think, I think there's something being lost in the entire dance music culture right now. When you look back to you see those videos of 90s warehouse raves, and then people, you're like, whoa, they just look like they're going wild. But I think that's because we can't understand, they didn't have the fear of being recorded, or, I mean, they truly were in this dark warehouse, and there was no one outside of that would see what they were doing or what they want to do. I mean, people go wild if you look at some of these videos. You're like, is that even dancing? It looks like they're just freaking out almost. But it's because they had freedom to express themselves like that. And these days, there's phones everywhere. And again, even just the knowledge of knowing everybody has a phone, I think keeps people toned down. I think it keeps people from really letting loose. And that's something I would love to get rid of. But it's just tough. I mean, there's some clubs in Europe you go to and you put your cell phone in a bag.
Ooh.
I love that. Dallas isn't ready for that.
Right.
But I would love to try to do something with that. I think just getting people in that tribal element moment,
Yeah.
it's key. And the phones, I mean, it's just such a distraction. Even at, they're always a distraction, right? Like doom scrolling. I know I saw you on your last podcast for talking about that. But people are doing that in the club.
Right.
Like people are doing that at the show. And I'm like, what? I mean, sometimes I'll be out and I'll see some of my friends going through Instagram at the venue. Like, what? I'm like, what are you doing? So I think it's a really big problem. And it takes away from the overall just like freedom people are supposed to get by going to like a dance club or somewhere to dance.
The whole idea, I got to work right now. Got to promote.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But not even that. People are just like, people got to see where I'm at. People got to, I want people to know I was here.
Yeah.
And like, they're not even dancing. And
right.
Then they spend 20 minutes doing a filter on their phone. I mean, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, man.
It's unfortunate. It's also, a scapegoat type thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who's next to me.
Yeah.
I don't know these people. Let me go on my phone.
Yeah.
Let me scroll a bit.
See, I hear that. I'm like, all right, well, then ask them. Say, hey, what's your name? Like, have a conversation. Another lost art form, I think. Just open conversations. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, man, I think there's just a lost element. And again, I say that not to be like Doomsville. I will, again, give crowd to the credit, especially at Voltage.
Oh, yeah.
Not a big phone crowd. It's awesome. I love seeing it. But there's still that element. Like, people walk in and think, man, I know people got their phones. Like, I'm just going to.
Right.
That's it. I don't want to really let loose. So. The ever evil phone.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
And leading on to that, we're thinking about what makes a good crowd, but then what makes a good vibe? The DJ himself.
Yeah.
How are you picking and selecting your music these days?
So a lot of it is personal taste. I mean, I think anyone who's doing any type of event promotion or big artist booking is definitely working off their taste.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because there's a lot of everything else already here in Dallas. What we've been doing, booking people like Bart Skills, Max
Oscar.
Chapman, Pablo Ceballos, Oscar L. These are guys that traditionally are not coming to Dallas. People are not asking to be here, but they're people that I've listened to forever. And I like to think that I have a good judge of this more late night crowd and what people would like to see at Voltage. When we first started Voltage, it was a little bit more, I'd say like mainstreamy, EDM-y almost.
Right.
And now like we've definitely over the course of the last year really focused on a more like minimal deep tech and techno sound. I'm really trying to stay true to like what you're not going to hear outside of maybe someone being booked at It'll Do that plays that sound.
Absolutely. That's something you guys do really well. You said you had mainstream beforehand? Would you say mainstream house, mainstream techno, or?
I mean, maybe just the stuff that, I don't want to like bash anyone in here, but like, some of these more like, the bigger bars that everyone goes
Understood.
to. This like that EDM you hear there, or more like driving. I don't know how to describe it. It's a little more like poppy almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we just had a conversation, all of us at the Voltage team. And we're like, look, like we really want to kind of take a step back, and it was really kind of led by me and Griffin. We were like, let's really push this initiative to like, let's make this the afters we want this to be.
Good.
And so then that's why we started getting a little bit more particular about the bookings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. And when you contact an artist, are they like, give me $5,000 and come to Dallas, bro? Or like, do they see what you're doing? They're like, yeah, I appreciate this. We're gonna go.
Yeah. So it's a mix. So when you get started, when we first got started,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out was a very whole situation. I mean, when you didn't have like footage of shows you've done and you had nothing to really back it up, that is tough.
Right.
And they usually highball.
I promise it's good, bro.
Yeah, they highball the hell out of you. Like, and you've just got to kind of get to that point, and kind of work through those kinks. But once you've got a product that you can show them, so like now when we reach out to artists, we've got a whole PDF with like all of our past artists. This is what a venue looks like. This is what you can expect. Da da da. And it's very well put together, averaging 300, 350 per night. Like they see that and they're like, bet, we'll do it.
Oh yeah.
And then in that case, yeah, everyone we've booked that's international, we brought to Dallas and done afters with, including Bart Skills. Bart Skills walks in,
Oh my god.
turns around, and looks at the warehouse. He goes, I didn't know people were still doing this.
Bro, it was freaking unreal, that party.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
how many people were in the warehouse?
I think we clocked like 540 something. It was
most packed I've ever seen.
Yeah,
most
awesome.
fun. The no phones rule. no phones rule. No phone environment. It
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah.
because that place was beautiful. And what on earth happened to that place?
Yeah. It's RIP. I will say, that spot is no longer available. The city I will say it was very not safe. We didn't have coding or anything in there. Like it was.
It was so
mind you,
retro,
people
man.
should have the freedom to go into a sketchy warehouse if they want to go into a sketchy warehouse, but that's another story. But anyway, they shut it down. They deemed it like inhospitable, essentially. And the guy who we were renting it from, he couldn't use it for events anymore, so he stopped leasing it. So I think that thing's still there. But
Yeah.
it's on that big lot, and that person owns it, and he doesn't want anything to do with any of this. So anymore.
Right.
But I say if you were there at that warehouse, you were here for an era in this city.
Holy
Because
cow.
that was some wicked shit.
Yeah.
Like, excuse my language, but it was amazing. And like that truly was, I think, the closest Dallas is going to get to like Berlin, Eastern Europe, like just really underground grungy warehouse raves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what a vibe.
It was so grungy. I mean, I remember the power would cut out like
Sometimes
3 or 4 times a
dude
night.
just starts screaming and then it come back on. It's like, yeah.
Peeing in the corner or whatever.
Yeah.
Not too much of that, but great stuff. And where do you like to do your things now? Your events?
Yeah, so right now we've polished up, I should say. We're working with a venue, DDR, our friend Homie who owns it. Awesome guy. We're working with him. It's a little bit outside of town. It's about 8-9 minutes outside of downtown. So it's a little bit more outside. It's not like easily right in the heart of downtown Dallas, but we're still packed every Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're doing some stuff on Fridays there, here and now, which are kind of taking off. But the Saturdays are huge. And now we've got nice bathrooms, AC. It's not this sweaty warehouse, which again, I love and I miss those elements. And we would love to kind of do something to recapture that again.
Yeah.
But there's also a really nice level of now everything being, always set in place. You don't have to re-tear out the gear, put it in. It's installed and we're done. Nice bathrooms, AC, like I said, is huge, especially in the summer in Dallas.
Just turn off the AC, then you get the sweaty Germany
yeah.
vibes back. Right?
That's the thing. I think now we're spoiled. We've gotten too used to it.
Yeah.
So
one more thing before we move on, I want to talk about the marketing of your thing.
Yeah.
Initially, was it word of mouth or was it Instagram posts? How'd you get this thing, your company rolling really?
Yeah. So combination of word of mouth, passing around circles I knew, and then working with a good promoter, which was next level.
Yeah.
Just you've got to understand when you need help. I think a lot of people come out and they just try to like throw a party, and I'm like, man, I'm sorry, but like you may get a couple of your friends there, but people don't care.
No, seriously.
Especially in Dallas, they don't care about your cool like new underground thing. Like you've got to promote it. Like you've got to tell people it's there.
Yeah.
They're not going to go out and find it on their own, but they will go if you put it in front of them.
Ooh.
So I think just working with a solid promoter and understanding that is going to be maybe like an expense you need to put out, or just working in a deal. Again, I got out of a lot of expenses because I would provide audio for the promoter's event, and then so he would help me out with posting. So
like a JV almost.
Yeah, exactly. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So again, I found a workaround, and I made it work. But yeah, I think promotion is a huge element when starting. You've just got to find a good group that's going to work with you and be on your team. That is also spread out with different circles, and then from there find the people who are just have good promotion and already have kind of a standard.
Mm-hmm. Man, what artists are you into?
Yeah, so very into melodic house right now.
Who's bringing the
techno.
sound, man?
Say it again.
Who's bringing the sound?
So there's a guy called Metodi Histroff. Yeah.
What? Who is this?
Yeah. Oh, you don't know? Okay. So,
I do not know.
You want to spell it? You can write it down. It's that good. Metodi, and then his Histroff is Hristov maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, melodic techno house guy, killing it right now.
Wow.
We are definitely looking at bringing him. He has visa issues
Metodi.
right now, so we can't. But
where's he at?
I think he's in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Eastern Europe. He's one of these guys.
Yeah.
But awesome. And pumping out just every week. I feel like he's dropping a absolutely hammer of a track.
Yeah.
So
good for him.
eyes are for him. And then some guys called Horizon too, who are also out of Eastern Europe. And they're also melodic techno. Horizone. Those two right there, I basically feed off them. I mean, those two artists right now are giving me most of my fuel.
Yeah.
So
man, I love those monosthetic dudes as well.
yeah.
Those guys are killing it.
Yeah, man. It's the whole melodic techno scene right now. I remember going to Afterlife, Tale of Us, Tulum 2019. And back then I thought I was a melodic techno slow.
Right.
Like it. And then I went and saw that in the jungle.
Oh,
Changed my life. But I never thought a lot of techno would be as big as it is becoming now. I thought it was way off, but I love seeing it. I mean, seeing like Tale of Us at main stage Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah. What do you think people are getting hooked onto it?
I think I think Techno 2 is coming up with it, and I think there's just a tribal element to the BPM, and the bass lines in melodic and then techno also that people are just naturally drawn to.
Ooh.
And a really interesting fact that I heard was so when you're in the mother's womb, your average heart rate here when you start out it's like 110 and it gets up to 160 BPM per minute. Well, what is that range? That's a lot we listen to in house and techno. And so I think that like 130, I think that's when like, you start really developing per se, not to get into that conversation, but.
So 110, you're in like deep rest, like you're in the womb.
Yes, you're in the womb. And when your brain really starts developing, you hear this 140, 135 BPM. And I think when you close your eyes and you're in a dark warehouse and you're sweating and you're just moving and vibing, I think there's something about hitting that like receptor or something. And I've been obsessed with this since I heard about it. And I really think there's something true to it. I'm not a scientist, but I think there's something.
Cresci womb theory. I'm trying to figure audio.
The Cresci womb theory.
Audio. We're gonna make it sound really smart and dumb at the same time. So audio womb theory. We'll start there. Whoa.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
I like that because I've always heard, sometimes when you're listening to music, you can have a coherence with your heart rate and some of these brain waves. If you're listening to like binaural beats.
Not familiar.
You ever do binaural beats?
No.
It's just like a theta brainwave or something. It's like 40 hertz.
Oh, okay.
So have you seen like the video like 20-minute power nap?
I don't think I have either, no.
So what they're basically doing is it's a specific low frequency hertz, right? Like a sound. And these specific hertz can activate specific
interesting
states in your brain, these psychological states. So theta meaning the dream state, the relaxing state. Beta meaning the super fast, probably similar to techno state. That awake, alive, alert feeling, which we can argue about. But that's really good for focus and really good for work. So I like this audio womb theory. Now, we're doing all this on the weekend, man. And I know, I would go to your parties and we'd be there till 5 a.m. and I'm wrecked.
Yeah, same.
How
same.
How do you do this every weekend and then you immediately go to a job?
Yeah, so thankfully I'm at a point where I'm not doing it every weekend. Okay. But I would say for 2 years, it was Monday through Friday and then maybe an event on Friday and then after hours Saturday, a little bit of rest Sunday and then back at it Monday. It was too much. And it definitely got to a point where, it impacted like how healthy I was. Stop going to the gym really. Just got to a point where I was like, man, like this is too much. And so I've had to take a step back and really balance it. But I think it took that, like, I'd say this, I think it took that sacrifice to just get to the established point I am. I was making sure I was going to everyone's, back when I was doing the speakers too, like I was going to everyone's stuff, trying to promote that. And it was just like, even longer than that, maybe 3-4 years of just like constantly being out and trying to like make myself present in the scene to be relevant in some capacity. And now, fast forward, I'm at a point where, again, I've got a partner, so we switch off on some of like the big management on our Saturdays. We've hired someone on who runs Fridays for us now.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, definitely like been able to take a step back, but I would honestly say it was just sacrifice, like blood, sweat, tears type moment.
Yeah.
And just being really, really, really committed. I was like, I'm either going to do this now or I'm going to get older and it's just not the time to get into trying to do this. So
it's a great mindset.
Yeah.
You're sacrificing the now for the future.
Yeah.
And now those rewards are paying off. Maybe you see it, maybe you don't, but I certainly do. From what you initially started, now you guys got solid shows, solid parties, and I was questioning, do you have that green light party on Sundays?
No. So we used
that?
to do sunset sessions at the Statler. On the roof there. Not sunset sessions. I'm sorry. We used to do deep end pool theirs.
Yeah.
And then he moved those. And then he started working with Greenlight. But again, we just have so much going on right now. We do these. We're involved with an event on Thursdays. We're doing audio for an event on Friday. Our events or the other group that's in our venue on Fridays. And then we do every Saturday Voltage. So we've already got.
You have another group in you.
Yeah, so we trade off with Secret Dimension. They sometimes go
Oh,
in.
okay.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, yeah.
group.
Yeah, so
Oh.
they were there last night, had a good night.
Oh, sweet. I thought that was you. Okay, I'm
No, but
confused.
we do we're doing the audio. So we're, again, like
Makes sense.
I got to a point where I was kind of having my sticky fingers in a lot of areas. Now it's not more toned down. Now we really only work with, pretty much them and keep it to ourselves. But that's, again, like we've gotten to a point now where we've got our own stuff, it's established, and we're not trying to add to it.
Right.
Or we're not trying to do less. We're not trying to do more. We're
Right.
trying to really make what this current schedule perfect. So
You're really honing it in.
Yeah.
Man. Well, where do you want to go from here? We'll talk
man.
work. I mean, like.
Yeah. I mean, wherever you'd like to go, we could talk about my work stuff. I mean,
hold on. We're data. You're very data driven. You got this A-list club stuff. Then you said AI. You can talk about AI.
Yeah. So I
What do you do with AI?
So I work with, again, these chief data and analytics officers all day. I get hour-long conversations with them where I literally just dissect what their top business objectives are, what they're working on. And I've learned a lot about AI this past year because obviously with ChatGPT, it's become so relevant. And I've learned a lot from these people who are 50 billion times smarter than I am, and I ever will be.
Oh, come on.
And well, here's the thing.
You can use AI, bro.
I'm not like, I don't have a degree in data, or like, I don't have like a computer science degree, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I don't even really understand data analytics. I came in from the people person aspect, right? So, but I've learned so much of these conversations and pulling out the information with. I have a content manager I work with. She knows all the like really deep data dive, and so I'm the connection guy.
I like it.
But I get to sit in these calls and I take everything in. So there's a lot of things with AI that are super interesting, obviously. But the first thing is, like, AI isn't very new. So I think this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Like, AI was first termed in like 1930 something.
Wow.
And then the first artificial language model, which is what ChatGPT is, was built in 1954. So yeah, people don't know that. So it's nothing new. And it's been interesting how now that it's out and about, like it's really prominent, everyone can use it, that it's like everyone thinks it's this thing that's like coming to take over. There is definitely a lot of fears with it. I don't think I'm as fearful as some of these people. I mean, there's people out there that are a lot smarter than I am that are scared of it, like Elon and people like that. But I talking to these chief data analytics officers who this is what they do, is data and analytics and working with AI predictive language models.
Yeah.
They're not as scared of it.
Right.
But they are scared of what can happen with AI. So do you, in a really high overarching sense, what AI or what a generative language model is doing, ChatGPT, is it's given data that it has to use. So it has to pull from a source. In that source, you'll ask it a question and it'll throw out a word, and then it uses probability to go through its source data to figure out what's the most probable word that comes up the most after that first word. So that's how it works, and it puts together these sentences, and that's how it pulls together these answers that you're like, how do you know that? Because it's just pulling from data and seeing what word follows the other the most.
Ooh.
Well, what does a human brain do?
Associate.
Well, no, what do we do when we're speaking, when you're making a sentence? You're doing the same thing, right? Start with your first word, start with your second word. So we're doing the exact same thing these AI models are, which is
like recalling almost.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're no different. That's what's kind of weird about this, is like our brain right now is functioning no differently than, in terms of our language models, is functioning no differently than how these language models we're creating are.
Yeah.
But on top of that, how I said, they pull from the source of data that you have to give it, right? So if you give it shit data, it's going to give you bad responses. But there's this thing called, it's the law of collapse. This is really interesting, and I wish people were talking about this more. So there's a paper came out, and it's basically how all these generative AI models are going to collapse on themselves and basically start pumping out just straight falsities. And you're not going to be able to discern what is real and what is false anymore. Because here's the problem. It pulls from certain data, right? Now there's a lot of AI made stuff. There's a lot of AI made content out there. Like almost double amount of what the humans have put out. So these language models are pulling from what this AI generated content, which isn't real. And then the language, like what our text, what we've put on the internet, what's on websites and all that.
Wikipedia. Yeah.
So the law of collapse is the fear that basically these language models are going to start forgetting about the actual data we've put into it. And over time, it's going to forget about these commonalities and phrases. Like, okay, I know this word follows this and it follows this. And it's going to start just working off this AI made content, which is rubbish.
I see.
And so a lot of the chief data and analytics officers I work with right now, that's what they're scared of, about introducing AI into some of their organizational.
Wow. So it's like pulling from this false information. It's compounding it, and then
creating more of it. You've got these AI procedural generated stuff now.
Yeah.
Well, it's using that as fact.
And then that's sourcing from that, and
yeah. So it's like an endless loop, and so it's called the model of collapse because it ends up just eating itself. It's falsity. Yeah. So
maybe that's like what happens when you scroll too much on Instagram.
You know what? Really though, again, that's why I think AI is so interesting, and it's really almost like otherworldly to think about. Like our brains, when we're speaking sentences, work the same way these language models do.
Uh-huh.
When we take in a bunch of fake made, stuff, it impacts us and it makes me feel negative or positive.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like looking at how these AI models work. Like if they just start taking the same crap, well, they're gonna just keep putting that crap because they don't know better.
Uh-huh.
But what happens when you've integrated your entire organization around this model and it just starts eating and getting rid of data that it was initially started on? So yeah, there's just a lot of hesitations. And that's just like one piece of the pie, really. So.
And how are these big companies using AI? Are they? I'm sure they're not like how to make more money.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I'd say like in 2013, 2014, the conversation was about, oh my God, Facebook's selling data, or these companies are selling your data.
Right.
But you really can't do that anymore. And there's such a stigma to it now that's not the business model anymore. Now, your data that the company gets off you from their product, that is their business model. So they're going to create things around the data they already have on you. So Facebook creating, what's the new thing Mark Zuckerberg just put out?
Meta World?
No, it's the thing to compete with Twitter. Threads, thank you. So that's just taking data that it gets from everybody on Facebook, and it's created a Twitter-like
the app.
Yeah. So they're taking the data that they already have on you.
Yeah.
So like even say you've got a high-tech toaster, okay? It's like you can, you've seen it. You can like control it on your phone and you can do all the cool stuff with it. Well, that's just collecting data on you, and that company then has a bunch of data on people with toasters. So in the past, they'd be like, let's sell that data to somebody. Somebody's going to want to know who's buying toasters. Now it's, okay, let's look at our data and how can we create something that we can sell to these people? So companies are now more focused on using their data than actually getting rid of it. Like I don't think the getting rid of it is big of a problem, but they're definitely manipulating data to figure out exactly what you're going to want to buy across everything. Like every time you put in your name, every time you buy something online, they are taking that in and putting it into these AI like predictive machines, and they're deciding what you're going to buy, when you want to buy it. And every company's doing it on their own now. Like people used to buy the data and do that. You know what I mean?
Right. So Instagram, let's say you're on it and you clicked on audio sound clips post, and then you went on EDM.com's Instagram, and they're going to go, oh, he really likes this stuff. Let's sell him. Let's promote something on our thing.
Yeah. In a very basic term, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting. Yeah.
But like let me give you an example. So I was talking to the guy who's the head of the analytics over at NRG, which is a huge energy provider here in Texas.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, they've now got a whole new business model around just figuring out how people are using their thermostats. So like they're able to decide if you're more likely to buy like a Ring doorbell, or if you're more likely to get a security system in, or if you're more likely to, oh, your fridge is old. They can tell all this off your thermostat. It's crazy. And based off that, they're pitching you more products. They've now created like an entire security division because they're going to sell people security based off what they pull through the energy app.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
What other crazy stuff are you seeing?
Another one I heard, another really interesting one is shelf stocking. How they decide like what gets shelved
on the top shelf versus bottom shelf.
Yeah, and like what goes next to each other. Okay. So a really funny one I heard from somebody who's at Walmart. He was like, yeah, so I don't know if you go to Walmart. A lot of Walmarts you walk in and the beer and the baby diapers are right next to each other.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason for that is they noticed that mid-afternoon there was a lot of males coming in and buying beer and baby diapers. That was their two purchases. The thing is, it was like men coming home from work. Again, that's not to say there's not women doing this too, but this is just the data they pulled, which is another issue, biasy, which we can talk about.
Okay.
But yeah, so they started putting diapers next to beer, and they saw like a 25% increase in sales of diapers and beers. So
I thought you were going to say they drink alcohol and they want to have a kid, and next thing you know,
that's maybe
condoms on top.
I see stressed parents just to get some beer when they're going to get diapers. Like,
right.
They're like, I'm gonna get some. It's like
so I'm gonna manifest a kid with all these diapers.
Yeah, I have a couple of my friends now just now have children, and yeah, I can understand it. There's some stress there. So
dude.
Yeah,
I wonder. I like to think how are kids going to work their way, so to speak, through the world in this whole technology-driven era, and stay, stay grounded, stay stoic, stay like, oh, I'm still human. I was reading this book, forgot the name and the author. I'm sorry. He was basically saying how writers these days have evolved their writing into this more fragmented and speedy tone, and you can tell just writers like, let's say, Ernest Hemingway used to be slow and steady, and it was thousands and thousands of words, and then over time it's evolved to now these writers are like, F this, no one's reading my stuff. It's going to be 500 words, and it's going to be really boom, 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 boom. We're not going to be able to lash out the details. So I wonder if people's lives are starting to feel like, all right, we're just going to boom, 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 boom. We don't have time to go through the details and do maybe a 2-hour talk on the beach anymore. It's just, let's see who's doing on Instagram.
Yeah, I think it's just the whole like our attention span.
Yeah.
But it's like a really big problem. I'm even guilty of it.
Yeah.
I think we've got so much thrown in front of us, and a lot of it's crap. It's not stuff you need to be like regurgitating, taking in, but it may be something that piques your adrenaline a little more, or it's something that, for whatever reason, you want to keep watching it. Something's drawing you to it.
Right.
But there's just so much out there, man. Like I was talking to my girlfriend earlier. Because I keep up a lot with what's going on in the world. I think that's a very sensible thing to do if you want to stay grounded and also just stay very thankful, especially for situations. Some of us out here in nice areas and have had things easier than others. In terms of if you live in other countries, in some places those resources just aren't there.
Oh, sure.
And I think being aware and seeing what people are doing with every day is really important. I think people just get so focused on their little circle.
Yeah.
Especially here in America. People just get so focused on like their immediate surroundings, and it's crazy because the world is so wild, and there's so much wild stuff going on that for people to think it's just this simple like me bubble, it's just I can't comprehend it. But I think that's what is a problem. People are in their own little bubble, and they have the attention spans of a squirrel. And it's just hard to pull people in, and like people just aren't interested in you anymore. You know, that's what you're saying. Like go to the conversation, like go to the beach, have a 2-hour conversation. I'll meet people out and I'll have like, I'll maybe get through 10, 15 minutes, and then like, they just can't really keep the conversation going. And it's usually the same things everyone's talking about. And like, I've just noticed like really deep, fluid conversations are almost like a thing of the past. And it's very sad. And I really do wonder what like I have a niece and nephew right now. One's 2.5, the other one's about 8 months.
Yeah.
Love them to death. Just seeing tiny humans run around. But I really do worry, like, what the hell is this world going to be like in 15 years for these kids? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's something insane. And I was just going to reference back. I'm like, when you're saying the small bubble, would you say that's a thing of ignorance? Because me personally, I see what's on the news, and I understand what's going on in the world, and it's truly a blessing to be here. But I'm like, I focus on my surroundings because I know if I start watching that stuff, I'm just gonna be like, oh fuck, like another one of these. So how is there a way to? We don't necessarily need a solution, but I'm trying to think like, man, how can I understand what's going on and stay present to my surroundings?
Yeah, one of my best friends is like that. I'm always like, I'll be like sharing articles. He's like, man, I can't right now.
I can't. My dad shows me,
and you know what I think that is just being able to not let things impact you as much. Like really understanding that like that's really I think coming to sense with, because I get that.
Yeah,
totally, 100%. And I may lean on sometimes the side of taking in too much information, like even though it's reading about like real world events and like what's going on.
Yeah.
I go down rabbit holes and sometimes it's too much,
Yeah.
But I think it's just about like really understanding, like when someone says something that you don't like and you're like, you let it bother you, you let it simmer. I think it's the same thing. Like when you read something that terrible what's happening in the world, like, yeah, it's not great, but like you got to read it and be like, damn, that's terrible. But like you've got your own whole element to kind of stay focused on. And so I think that's what it comes down to. It's about being able to just like really, really be really strong at like not letting outside things impact you, but also just being
grateful
and empathetic. Yes,
empathetic.
Yes.
Ooh, nice. Okay, so you can look at something in this almost like a positive approach. Like we feel for what's going on in this world. I'm glad to be here. Let's see how I can help.
Yeah.
You know?
I think almost, and this is what I always say, I think it's like I feel like I have a due diligence when there are people starving in Somalia, when there are people being put into camps, in eastern parts of China, when there's terrible things going on, men are being blown to bits in the Ukraine trenches right now. I think it's our due diligence to be aware that these people are suffering like that.
Right.
And I don't know how to explain that, but I almost feel like it's definitely my due diligence. Like I need to be aware at least, like to just act like this isn't happening and it's not a part of the globe. I feel like one, you get a little bit of a closed view of the world. And two, like, I mean, I don't know. I can't let people be in situations like that and me not at least have the knowledge that this is going on. Like I'd rather just at least be mindfully aware. I feel like there's some energy or some impact to people just being aware of something. And I think just a lot of people just like them all the time. And that's the thing, like, I just can't right now. I'm like, okay, I get it though.
Right.
I get it.
No, I love that. I love that. And how do you use that throughout your day? Is that is that like a motivating factor? Like, man.
Yeah.
Like I see what's going on. Get up and do something good, right?
100%. And I'm very lucky now. Like I'm in the business of connecting people. Everything I do right now is in terms of getting people together, which I'm very lucky and blessed to be able to say that. That's
a unique skill set.
And I genuinely, in terms of with the Chief Data Analytics Officer group, I'm working with people who are making way more money than I'll ever make. They're smarter than I'm ever going to be. And I'm genuinely helping them though. I mean, I get emails all the time from people who are, again, like way above anywhere I'm going to be. And they're like, Chris, thank you so much for making this connection with this other executive, or thank you so much for the gathering today. Like these really are impactful. Like I don't get to have these conversations elsewhere. That moves me. And then in terms of the dancing and the after hours, man, when I'm sitting behind the booth sometimes and you look out and you see 300 people just getting loose, genuinely having a good time, I'm like, they probably haven't felt like this all week.
Yeah.
That feels awesome.
Yep.
And that motivates me, I think, more than anything in this industry. Is just like I genuinely love seeing people learning, developing, smiling, thriving, living, and to be a resource for people to get to that point. Sign me up.
It's tier worthy what you're doing. Thank you. Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. But we still, if Sunday night's over, Monday's work.
Yeah.
Let's I want to go through like your morning routine, or sorry, not morning routine, like just the daily flow of work. How are we staying focused? Are we giving breaks throughout the day?
Yeah.
So what's going on?
That's a good question. So absolutely. When I was talking about attention spans earlier, probably one of the worst, okay?
Okay.
But I think that also keeps me focused in ways. Like I've got to hop around projects, but let me walk through my day. So I usually wait. My ideal day, this is not going to be every day. I'm not going to act like this is some thing I follow religiously.
4 a.m., cold shower.
Yeah, exactly. So usually it's get up around 6:37 and dog walk. I have my 2 children at home. One of them is a Whippet-or. She's a Whippet Lab mix. So it's a Greyhound Lab mix. So
interesting.
Needs her steps. So love getting that morning step in. I think that is huge. I will say the days that I get up and I'm active and I just start my day like that, I am 50 times ahead of the days where I wake up and I just roll over, go to the office and start working. So I think that's a big part. Figuring out a way to just get your blood flowing without the source of coffee. I don't know what the stats is on this, but someone read once, like, wait 2 hours before your first cup of coffee. Maybe it was your podcast, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it impacts you way more.
Right.
And the crashes in this part. So I've been kind of implementing that, and like that is you drink a lot of coffee out there.
That was Andrew Huberman's work. It's basically the whole idea of you got these ebbs and flow of your hormones throughout the day, and certain things like sunlight and a cold shower can stimulate you to produce things like cortisol in the morning.
Yeah.
And cortisol is that main stress hormone that you make. And that's the thing that gets you out of bed, right?
Okay.
So that thing's already up in the morning. We got it. That wakes us up. If we immediately stack coffee with it, what's coffee? Shit, that's more cortisol. It's a good stress, right? But too much, you spike it so hard, it's going to kind of crash you down in the afternoon. So from a high level perspective, that's what he's talking about. Allow this hormonal cycle to kind of do its thing and then have the coffee. So it's like, oh shit, we went through the normal morning, spike it up, have it flowing, and then guess what? We can drink the coffee and it's an enhancer versus like, 8 a.m. and fuck,
I like that. It becomes an enhancer. And I mean, I've noticed more, there's mornings where sometimes I don't even feel like I need that coffee after my walk. The afternoon, that's a different story. And that's an area like I'm trying to cut down on caffeine. I used to be very addicted to caffeine. I will say maybe that was what.
How addicted, bro?
Like a cup of coffee in the morning, then another one at 11. Then I have lunch. Then I have another cup of coffee and energy drink. So it was like 3, sometimes 4 a day. Not doable. Can't do that. Now I'm pretty much at one coffee a day. But
that's good.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I look back, like I have more energy now, and I feel better now with the 1 cup of coffee a day timed off than when I was just like getting up and forcing my way through the day, trying to like drink more caffeine to get through the crashes.
Yeah.
I mean, because caffeine's all, like, I love coffee too.
Yeah.
I love coffee. Big coffee fan. But I think a lot of us definitely abuse it.
Right. Absolutely. And you do that morning walk, you got the morning sunlight, you got the movement, like that's how you do it, man.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like you've got to take breaks. I mean, and again, everyone works differently, but like for me, I can do 2 hours of really solid work, and then I got to take 30 minutes. I'm gonna go walk around. Luckily, I now work from home too, so it's easy for me to just kind of go do a walk with the dogs or something. But even if you're at the office, when I used to work at an office, I'd still take 20 minutes, go do some walks, get your steps in. I think it's just so important because a lot of us are just sitting at that desk all day. Yeah, which is terrible for your posture, like everything. There's so much that comes with it. And I think just getting up and getting your blood flowing and adding a little bit of differentiating to your day, right? Get out of your schedule. I think that's huge. I'm even lucky enough that I can kind of step away from my work for 2 hours and then come back and crush it, But I think just being mindful when you need to take a break. There's definitely a hustle culture out there that's like work harder than everybody. And you do need to work harder than everybody, but you can work smarter, which means you're not working more.
Oh. Clip that. Oh man, and you're right. There's signs coming out saying we're gonna let people work 2 hours, give them a 30-minute break, see how they do after.
Yeah.
In terms of a memory test or something else. And then we're gonna let people work for 6 hours. We'll see who gets it done better and who does more.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. It's always the former, which is crazy.
I bet. I bet.
And speaking of that, like you said 2 hours. Are you doing that multiple times throughout the day, or is it just like 2 hours in and then work's done?
Yeah, so I'm very like morning work person. So I like to be done by like 2-3 o'clock with my work. I understand people like have to be in the office and whatnot then, but at least you can be done with what you need to get done, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's really like my 8 or maybe 9 some days right through. I'll pound like 2-3 hours out, and then I'll step away for like 2 hours. And then I'll come back and maybe do like an hour here, hour there, and kind of finish some last work. But like, if I can't get done what I need to get in the day within 3 hours, then I'm doing something wrong. I mean, sometimes I'll have a big project or a portfolio I need to put together for an executive, but I should be able to do my day in 3 hours, and then have the rest just to be available for calls with my executives if they need something, or just to do whatever I want to do. Go out on a walk, get active, go get some food. Nice little life freedom balance.
You're telling me you finish your work in the span of 9 hours? I mean, no one can do that nowadays.
I know.
It takes me 9 hours to get the one assignment done.
I have some friends who work in like finance, and I mean, they're like leaving the office at 8:30, and I'm like, I mean,
dog. Tell me about it.
And there are industries like that. You're just not gonna be able to get out of that. But that wasn't for your boy Chris. No. So
likewise. And I was just at a business dinner in Florida, and we were with a partner company, and the partner company's employees, some of them brought their laptops to dinner because they had to get on a call right after at 9:30 at night. And guess what? One of them had to miss because he had a call in a business this. And I was wondering, how many calls? I asked the guys, I'm like, how many calls are you guys really on? They're like 6 hours worth of calls. And I go, how much could you possibly need to know for 6 hours of talking, right? And you say, I get my work done in 3 hours. And I love that because that's how I feel too.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I talk about how I have a lot of these conversations with executives, though that's outside of like my work that I can get done in the 3 hours. When I have those calls, that's an hour of the day. But again, like I get to just dig into these guys' brains.
Yeah.
And the knowledge I pull out again, it's so cool. Like I'm very lucky to get to a point. Yeah. Let's go ahead with that.
I want to hear these, how are these guys so successful? What are you hearing?
You know what's funny? They're just like you and me. And I think that's the biggest thing I've taken away from all this. These are very smart guys, but I think that's where I've also been able to do this role really well. Is I'm definitely a little more laid back and casual than some of the other program managers that do what I do in other cities. But I always get such good comments on like, hey Chris, like I always appreciate getting on the phone with you. Like it's different from the rest of my day. Everything's so cut and dry, mundane, executive level. He's like, I love getting on the call with you. Way more casual. You always make me feel light. You know, like I'm a little more open. And that's what I hear. They're just like you and me. They got families, they got kids, they got hobbies. One of my main guys, he's a big surfer. Like
Nice.
they're just like you and me. They just focused their efforts somewhere, and they knew what they wanted to do.
I see.
A lot of these guys you talk to, they had like a path. You know, they were like, I wanted to get data analytics, and they saw this before we all saw it because right now, data is the new gold. These guys are running operations for a company. Everything organizations do is run data. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when these guys, 25 years ago, when a lot of these guys and gals were in college and they were learning, they were like, I need to go into computer science because data is going to be big. So, you know, that's like a thing I always kind of acknowledge. And I tell them too, I'm like, yeah, but you saw something, you know, when everyone else didn't. Because even me, I mean, I graduated in 2012. I wish I would have gone into computer science. I mean, I could have made great money coding, but would I be where I'm at? I don't know. But they're just like you and me. Just like you and me.
Now is AI going to take computer coding workers? Here, yeah. Oh shit. My roommate goes, I'm like, what's a question I should ask for Chris? He's like, is AI going to take some jobs?
Yeah. So, yes and no. The main thing AI is going to do is it's going to amplify people's jobs. People are going to utilize it. Yes, people are going to lose their jobs. 100%. I think people that try to like make the argument against, I think are just, I don't know, trying to make themselves feel better maybe. But the thing is, there's going to be a lot of other jobs that come up because of AI that we don't know. Like I was telling you about the whole human element, right? Like you're going to need people to go through and like dissect, like what's AI made content, what's people made content.
Yeah.
Like what's his name? Al Freeman, the guy who is the CEO of ChatGPT. He just started a company, and it's basically where you can put an image or a text, and it'll let you know if an AI made it or if it was human made, which is crazy.
That's good.
Of course, the guy made ChatGPT is making that. Like this guy's just on top of it. So I think a lot of us, yes, a lot of jobs will go, and especially like when you say is coding going to go away, there's already something on GitHub. I forgot what it is, but you can basically be like, I need this coded, and it will literally do it.
Jeez,
so that's already here, and it's already here. And I already have organizations that I know of that they've already implemented it, and they've already let go of data engineers. So it's definitely going to be a thing. I don't think it'll be as wide as people.
Right.
And there's still a lot of manual labor jobs out there, right? Like what people forget is, you know, you can go out and be a welder and make $160K when you're 19 years old. You can go out and be a scuba, like you can go out and get jobs like that.
Scuba? Did you say scuba?
Like, yeah, like scuba welding. Those people get paid like $250,000.
I thought you said scuba diver. I was like,
that too. You can do that too. But there's like, you know, hard manual labor jobs. It's like it's hard labor.
Right.
Like there are so many opportunities out there, and I think those jobs are going to become a lot more prominent. AI is going to impact the white collar. Blue collar is fine. I think those are the people that we should be worried about. I think blue collar workers don't need any more hits on their life. So
absolutely.
Yeah, white collar industry and workers are going to see the hit from it, but I don't think it's going to be as widespread because there's still a human element that you just can't get.
The trade aspect of life is crucial.
Yeah.
It's a necessity. I mean, you don't see it, and then somehow you do, and it's like, oh shit, this all revolves around the guys who are willing to do the work. I know I'm in the office right now, and next door is our new office that's being built currently. Right? How funny. So I watched the guys who are building the office, and they say there's about 200 of them daily, and they're outside in the Texas heat at 11 welding, putting windows up on 12 stories. They're hanging off the balcony, and they're all wearing like a hazmat suit. Hazmat in the sense that there's 10 layers. They got a mask on this because it's so hot that they need to like cover up. You know what I mean?
It's just crazy.
And I was thinking, I'm like, once this building's built, they're going to congratulate the guy who made the deal, the finance bro, the dude who underwrote the deal, and they're going to say sayonara to the guys who are out there in that Texas heat.
Yep.
And I go, without them, that would not be built.
That is capitalist society, my friend. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but unfortunately, yeah, it's that's a whole other topic too, man.
Yeah.
I think just the gap that exists between, I mean, like the off subject, but
come on,
like the middle class in America is a dying breed. Like the American dream is very hard to get now. Like you used to be able to easily afford to go to college, get the degree, get a good job, buy a house, and you were good. Like that's what most people wanted. now you can't get a house. You can't even get a job. You're laddered with college debt. So like people don't have that satisfaction of having that like true ownership of like I can get this and I'm gonna be okay. Now, I mean, it's tough out here.
Yeah.
So I think that's why there's a lot more chaos too, and people are just kind of realizing they can't get that what they would assumed 20, 30 years ago was like, all right, if you work hard and you follow this path, you're gonna be able to buy a house and live the American dream.
Right.
I don't think that's true anymore.
Interesting. How do you think people can get that back?
Oh man, that is probably one of the. If anyone knows the answer to that, they deserve to be God because I think that's the problem. You know, I mean, America right now is so all over the place. It's like, how do you take a pot that's been broken into a million pieces and put it back together? It's like, I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you got to start from fresh. I don't know.
Ooh.
I just think there's a lot of different viewpoints, and there's also a lot of just fake propaganda, like like there's a lot of that out there too. People feed off it, and so yeah, I think in the combination of people just struggling, not being like that guarantee of American dream life of I can get to the middle class and like I can raise a family, I can afford to have kids, I can afford to have a house. Like, I mean, I'm 29 years old, and a lot of my friends don't own homes. That would have been unthinkable like 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Right.
So yeah, things are just changing, and people are changing with it. So,
What else are you seeing?
You know what I do think's crazy
What's up?
is like I'm not a big politics guy, but I don't understand like how it just really blows my mind that people are okay with like our two options are. I'm like, dude, people just get dumbed down. I mean, the fact that we're not having debates anymore, I'm like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? And I wonder if that's just another element that people, like everything just doesn't seem like there's rules anymore. Even at the top. So it's kind of like everyone's like, well, I don't give a shit. So
Hear this. I was talking to some journalist yesterday who's been on CNN, Fox News, ABC, like all the sites. Like this guy's credible. And he was talking to me and he goes, well, if you're so single-minded on your left side or right side, how is that going to play into other aspects of your life? Are you going to be closed-minded to a new friend, to your kid's new passion for sports, or maybe not sports, hobbies, right? How is that going to play into other aspects of your life? And if you cannot have a conversation like this and have one point, you have the other, and we go, all right, let's find a common theme. We don't have to get to a solution, but let's try to see where we connect. And I know we do. Then it's like, man, that kind of missing out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that also goes back to like how people let things impact them. Like I will meet somebody who just thinks something I think is absolutely hogwash.
Hogwash.
It just doesn't it doesn't impact how I'm gonna react to them.
Yeah.
Because like I just understand, like really truly, I really truly believe to each their own. Like we are all so unique and individual. There's no way we're all gonna agree or think the same. And if we did, we'd be boring as hell. So I think just like you've got to be okay. Everyone's gonna have different opinions. Some people are gonna have really shitty opinions. Really shitty opinions.
Yeah.
But they're still human at the end of the day, and there's a reason they got those opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And you should be able to shrug them off. I mean, because they believe that doesn't impact you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't, at least.
Ooh. What are some practices that you're doing to help to constantly evolve for your work, for the opportunities that you see in your business, the work that you do? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna be super cliche here, and it's just setting goals. And I used to like read a lot, maybe like 8 years ago. Once I got out of college, I was searching for the easy, fast solution. How am I gonna get rich quick? And I was
sales, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I wasted a lot of time with that. But I think just setting goals, man. And I think what a lot of people do is they'll set money goals. Like I want to make X amount a year, and I think that's the very wrong way to go. You've got to set like tangible goals of actual objectives. So, like I'm gonna throw X amount of events this year. I'm gonna get X amount of executives. I'm gonna have a summit at this time. Like just setting these actual achievable goals that aren't related around. All right, I'm gonna make $200,000 this year. Like that's not a plan,
right?
And I think that's the point. If you find something you really enjoy, set your goals and just put your blinders on and hustle towards that. And stick with it. I think people don't stick with one thing long enough. I think that's the big key too. Like, do just repetitiveness. Then the money should come. And that's what I've realized. Like, the money will come, and you'll be able to take care of yourself, without having this emphasis that I think so many people have on their lives of the flashy, needing to be able to show, this or that. It's just it's people get blind.
Yeah.
People get really, really blind to that.
That's beautiful. That's
Set
dope.
your goals.
Now, when you set goals, would you have like North Star goals, and then you have your clear goals, which are like, oh, it's right there, and then your mini goals, like 2 hours of deep work, and
Yeah.
do you like to set it like that?
I wouldn't say mini. I used to, when I was like really trying to structure my day, especially when I first started working at home, I had to like get a structure down. But now I'm really big on just setting like I think you should do monthly goals, that are a little bit easier. Not easy. Don't set yourself easy goals, but just something that, maybe is a little bit more in the light of attainable. And then you set your 6 months goals, which are something that you're not extremely comfortable thinking about, but like, you're like, I could do this. And then you need to set yourself 1 year goals where you're like, I don't like what? And then of course you can have really far out goals. I mean, I want to own a music venue. I'm 29, hopefully by 35, that's my goal. I want to have an established music venue. That's a long-term goal, right? But everything I'm doing is working towards that. And then on my 1-term goal, it's very just oriented around like things I want to get done for a Audio Sound Club or my executives, but it's never about, I need to make this, I need to do that. Like it's never, I need to make this, how much can I get? It's, what am I actually going to achieve? What are goals that I can set that I can see, I can follow, and I can chase, and I can achieve them? And then just literally put your blinders on. There's a lot of bullshit and there's a lot of distractions.
I love this. Dude, this is your first podcast?
It is my first podcast.
Do you know what's also interesting about you? You do a lot of, in your work, you do a lot of public speaking in these big ballrooms. And I know there's a lot of people there because I see your posts. Was that something you just had? Did you have to learn?
I think I just had it, man.
What are some tips for the people who can't even, it's worse than dying, right?
Yeah. I feel for those individuals. It's funny because like I definitely I actually almost enjoy it. And especially for these executive summits I'm throwing up. I mean, I have to kick off the day. I'm walking up in front of 150 like dudes that are making millions. I mean, these are the big wigs. And I'm getting up and they're all looking at me. And it's just, for me, it's instead of feeling like fear or anxiety, I feel like, hey, you look at what you've done. They're all looking at you right now because you were here and you put this together. And I just feed off that. But I also enjoy it. Like I get to talk to that's my executive community. These are people I get to work with all day. Like I love it. I wouldn't know what to say though. For people who are really scared, I think you just got to get up there and do it, man. Because even when I started doing these executive summits, I didn't realize this was part of the job to start off with. I thought I was just going to like throw them and be like the people person. I was like, oh, I got to go up there at the summits. And so once I did it, the first time was, I was good, but like, definitely nervous. Second time, a little nervous. I just did my third one in June. No notes, nothing. Went up there, crushed it.
Nice.
I think just putting yourself out there, just get into it.
And you set these up, which is like the A-list membership club. And now we're all getting together and hanging out.
Yeah, so like as a program manager, I have someone that runs all my AV. I have someone that does the content management. I have someone that does like concierge management. So when they're on site, there's a team that like makes them all feel like executives. And I'm like the glue. I make sure that all gets put together and it's aligned with what the executives actually want to be doing. So.
And what do you
like
guys? Right. And what do you guys talk about these things?
So it's whatever the executives want to talk about. Obviously, being chief data analytics officers, in June, there was a lot of questions on AI ethics, how companies and organizations are using AI. I mean, we were walking through some of that earlier. The privacy and ethics conversation right now is huge around data because there's really scary ways that these organizations, all of them, are being able to use it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of conversations around that right now. And then also, I don't know if this is something people would be familiar with, but like how these organizations structure all their data. So like, there's on cloud versus on-prem, and those are terms we don't have to get into, but these are billion-dollar decisions, and that's a big thing right now that a lot of these organizations are. So it's privacy and then shifting their entire like data structure.
Interesting. And what are some exciting things you're seeing now?
In that space?
Yeah, in that space for sure.
I would say the same thing that scares me. Some of the just cool things they're able to do.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of jobs I think a lot of things that get replaced by AI are going to come from like data scientists, like people that are going to have to go through and siphon like AI put out data. Or like being able to figure out new code. I think that's always going to be there. It's just a really exciting time. Like we're creating some crazy shit that we can do, And God knows what we have that we don't know about, especially like what they've said we have bio aliens or whatever the other day at that U.S. Senate hearing. You didn't see that on Friday?
I don't watch the news, bro.
Yeah, well, there was a U.S. Senate hearing on the UFO hearing, and one top military, I forgot what he is, analyst, but super credible.
Yeah.
Under oath, 3 of them basically came out that we have biological alien material in ships since like the 50s. Under oath. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Wait, so what does that mean?
They didn't get a description. They just said basically, so it'd be like some type of biological material. Yeah.
So they found biological material where?
They didn't get into that, but they just said they're in possession of biological material not from this earth, and then also from like crafts that
crafts.
Yeah, man.
I've always had a feeling because I would see the movies and whatnot, but not the movies, but like the national, like this is what we're hiding stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like, but they're coming out now.
Yeah.
Why now?
No, I think it's almost like a big psyop. I think they've already. I think half the stuff that we see is like ours. It's it's been like reverse engineered, and I think now they're like, oh yeah, there's these. So like when we start seeing them more and more, it's like almost normalizing it slowly. That's the only reason I could think of like why you would hide something like this. But I think what most of we see these days in videos is like something that we've made, like a drone or something. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows?
It's funny, some of the movies that come out, like the alien movies, some people say, oh yeah, they're trying to tell you, man. Like it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. I've heard a weird theory that aliens are just us from the future.
Us from the
It's
future.
humans from the future just time traveling. Like coming back and like
Fucking AI, what is that?
Who knows?
Bro?
Yeah, who knows, man? The world is truly an amazing and crazy place. And we're all just these little insects living on it, so
freaking spot on, dude.
Yeah, man.
I want to wrap this up with some cool health.
Okay.
What are some cool health things that you do in your life?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. I actually on Tuesday am starting a 6-month rebody composition with a guy called Clark Fit on Instagram. Shout out to him.
Clark Fit.
Yeah, you might know him.
Dallas dude. Dallas guy.
No, he's in San Diego, I think. But I'm doing a whole workout plan, weekly check-ins. Everything's being counted. So
good for you, bro.
I will say I don't think I had that. And when I said, I got really caught up in work and stuff, and my health slipped, that was something. I'm about to be 30 years old, 29. So like this was my gift to myself. Got this whole plan done, so I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And next week we're gonna get it. But in terms of what I am doing, I think just being like keeping your, this is again cliche, but like just keeping your mental wellness is really key. And I think just becoming super confident with yourself is gonna take care of a lot of your issues in your life. And that's not simple. I think maybe when I was 27, 28, I started to feel like I was someone who just like I'm not apologetic for who I am, and I'm just me, and I'm gonna be me. But yeah, it took me a long time. I used to always be very mindful of what others were thinking. Like, what is that person doing? Are they looking at me? And yeah, I think that right there is a battle that everyone deals with. And once you conquer it, though, like the world is literally yours.
We have some similarities. I was always wondering, hey, do they like? Well, at first it was insecurity. Do they like me?
Yeah, insecurity, anxiety, all of it, man.
Yeah. Now it's like, how can I help them to unlock their true potential, right? Because that's talk about a skill.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I mean, the way you can go up to a CEO and make their day and their trips, and it's pretty cool.
I can't believe it myself, man. I half time I'm like, I don't know why these people hired me, but no, I love it. I've made some killer connections. I genuinely have friends, that are these big executives now. Like I can generally call them that.
And do they know you have another business as well?
So. Yes. But not when I first started. I really kept it separate. But now that I'm like pretty established, have my good community, like it's definitely out there. We do every time I get new members, we do like an annual call, and I do a little like slide on who I am as the program manager. And one of them I have Audio Sound Club, and I kind of walk through.
Nice.
And again, these executives, they're all like, "This is so cool!" Like they love it.
Yeah.
They're just like you and me.
Yeah.
They're just doing really well for themselves.
Do they get guest list?
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime my executives want to come, I got you guys.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Rebody composition.
Yeah.
What's this?
So basically just I want to get fit. Like I'd be what you could call skinny fat. I got some this is just developed over the years as it does. And
okay.
I want to just really like tighten up, get fit again, and be at my healthiest. I want to be able to, I used to run a lot. I want to be able to just pound out 5 miles again. I want to be able to just be really strong when it comes to my own body weight. I want to be able to handle myself. I used to be really, really fit. And again, I'm talking like 2013, 14. And then again, I've just been working and grinding, and I let some key priorities slip away with health. So that's why it's a big focus for me now.
Right. So this plan, are we talking fitness, nutrition,
All of it,
lifestyle,
all of it,
all of it?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be he didn't say I had to, but I'm gonna stop drinking during it. I mean, I'm really committing to this. I'm even gonna have to tone back on like when I do go out late at Voltage because my sleep pattern is gonna be huge during this.
Huge.
So yeah, like it's gonna be a big change. I'm honestly, I haven't really been nervous for something in a very long time besides this and doing this program with this guy starting next week. So
hey, if you want, I'm gonna hold you accountable, bro.
no, believe me, and he will too. He's calling me every Tuesday, Thursday, checking my macros. He's like on my fitness pal. He's gonna see it all, and he's gonna call me when I'm slacking. And
right.
So yeah, accountability would be great though.
Dude, I got you, bro.
But I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
I want to go into my 30s feeling better than I've ever felt before.
dude, as you should.
Yeah.
And the only negative about the music scene, if you can consider this a negative, is that sometimes you don't get much sleep, man.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to build a career as an artist, build a career as a manager, owner. I mean, I know it's like, dude, it's like if I want to become top artist, I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to every party and do this. I'm like, oh shit, like that's hard.
Yeah.
And you
Very
gotta
hard.
be really there. And that even with the business.
Yeah.
So that's horse blind stuff, but sleep burns fat. Right?
Yeah, no. I mean, and I had this interview with this guy to see if he would work with me. Like, he just kept hammering sleep because, like, that he's like, the only area I'm worried about is what you do on the weekend with work. And I was like, well, I've got the schedule now. I'm only there every Saturday. He's like, well, I'm telling you, man, you don't keep your. He's like, you need 3 weeks of the same sleep pattern to even get. What is that?
Yeah.
You probably know that's that state called. It's like a sleep state, but it takes like weeks to get to.
Oh,
on a
okay.
similar pattern.
So delta sleep, maybe
Something like that.
your deep sleep, your REM sleep, your
maybe
deep
REM sleep. Maybe it's REM sleep.
So you initially, there's like 4 sleep cycles. It's like light, deep, REM, and then back to light. That initial first stage, that's when all the muscle building and the hormonal changes and all these growth, but also this like fat burning, this lipolysis effect is occurring. So sleep is when you burn the fat. And I can't tell you every reason why, but you're like, CO2, it's you're breathing it out. You're sleeping it out. You're basically regenerating all these cells and everything, and that's like where the magic happens. And you're right, when you are out of whack, your body doesn't know when to produce melatonin, so it can't enter that state. So you're kind of just in the light sleep state, Because I know for a fact when you go to bed at 5 a.m., people go, "Oh, I woke up at 12, 7 hours." Stop.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, I can shift back. So, like, Monday, like, I make myself get up Monday. I'll get up at like 6:37, and then I'm just at a point where my body clock. Rest of the week, I'm good. I'm in bed at like 8:30, and I'm up at 7. Right. I get great sleep during the week. But I always thought, I'm getting good sleep during the week, but my Saturday, like, it's okay, it bounces out. No.
Yeah, no.
That's what I just learned. Like, he's like, no, you're every Saturday. He's like, you're calibrating yourself.
It restarts, man.
So that's something I'm definitely gonna try and implement here. And it's gonna be a big process.
Yeah. Drinking's huge too. The drinking is huge.
Yeah, and luckily I'm not a big drinker.
Right.
So that's not gonna be a big thing for me. But I am just cutting it out completely. Like it's the social drinking.
Oh, absolutely, and that's you're gonna notice that without even doing anything. That's gonna be huge. Man, the nutrition. Did you talk anything about nutrition?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. So I mean that's gonna be huge also as well. Making sure I'm hitting. I'm gonna have very high protein goals every day because a lot of this is about building my upper body again. So, big nutrition goals. That's why I'm gonna have everything through my fitness pal, and he's gonna help me like track my macros, all that good stuff. I've never had to do that, so I think that's what I'm really nervous about is getting good at like putting it all together. But my fitness pal seems pretty legit. Kind of does it all for you. So.
I am going to give you some advice.
Okay.
Don't become a robot when it comes to MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
I want you to worry not about the biochemistry of what you're eating, the proteins, the fats, the carbs, just about the quality of what you're eating.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're eating processed protein bars, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you might be hitting your protein markers. But what other BS is in that?
On the toilet a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the two things I would say, if you eliminated these for this 6 months, you're going to be like, holy shit, Jack.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I didn't make this, man. This is what I've learned. It's the seed oils, it's those processed industrial vegetable oils, and it's the sugar. You eliminate those two, man, you're going to be fucking killing it. And hit those high protein, and a lot of animal fat and animal protein.
Yeah, no, I'm
Eat your steak, bro.
I'm excited, man. I mean, I've eaten like I've kind of cut back on meat too, and so like I was like, not for like any reason. I just kind of have gone off. I don't eat pork. I don't eat any pork.
Pork's dirty, man.
Yeah. I also just love pigs.
If you get a good source, though, we'll talk.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Every once in a while, I slip up, and there'll be like a piece of bacon on a sandwich I order, and I'm like, damn it.
Listen, bro, US
US
Wellness Meats, they have this thing called heritage pork, and it's like
heritage pork.
Heritage pork is like old school pigs, man. It's like pigs who grew up on the mountain.
Ooh, okay.
And they eat, they don't eat the slop like commercial grown pigs. So you can
I might try that.
bro, I'll get you a pound of bacon. Like, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, fuck the... Excuse me.
Yeah, okay, sometimes just talking about those nutrition, it just gets you. Yeah.
Don't kill yourself with the protein, macros, carbs. Just think, is this true food?
Yeah, and that was a big thing he was saying. He's like, some days you're not. He's like, you're just not going to be in the mood to record it. He's like, all I ask is like, you just got to eat well, man. Like, eat as organic as you can. It's tenfold. He's like, there's so much shit out there. I already know there's so much shit out there.
Mm-hmm. Think what are my ancestors eating?
Yeah,
and then do that, and then don't be a freaking. I hate myself over this.
Yeah, I think I'm thankfully I'm not going in with that mindset. Like, I'm not doing this because I'm like miserable. I just like genuinely want to be a better self.
Yeah.
So
that's how I feel, man. Yeah. It's just you're bettering yourself. You're shooting up your body armor so that you can go help that CEO or you can go help that dude who wants to have a good time and make their freaking not just weekend, but like year. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, I went to that bar. I still remember that party to the day. And I go, I've been to a lot of raves. Yeah. And let me tell you, an atmosphere like that, environment like that, that is something you remember. Yeah,
man, for sure. Yeah, it was an era, man.
So when you're doing the bench press, think of that, bro.
I will. Yes. That's how I get to my workout, just thinking about killing it. No.
Fuck yeah. And then think like, oh shit, I gotta protect my girlfriend, this, that. Yeah. Those are good mental little.
I'm looking forward to that. That's what I told him. I was like, man, I feel soft.
Let's work out, bro. Yeah. Okay. I work out.
I just got a membership at Oso Gym. Have you heard of Oso? It's the rock climbing gym.
The rock climbing gym, yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's very cool. They got the sauna, big weight room too. But they got a killer rock climbing.
And they have a lot of kettlebells, which I love.
Yeah, kettlebells are.
You play soccer.
Yeah, I did.
Let's do some kettlebells. Yeah, you're going to feel like an athlete again.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Last thing, nutrition, it should taste good. So don't eat your dry salad and hate that, man.
Yeah, I
hate that. It should taste good. If it's not tasting good and feel like, oh, I'm really fueling myself, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I hear that 100%.
Dude, any last remarks, Chris?
No, this was super fun, man. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Freaking amazing, bro.
Thank you for having me on. This was great.
We're going to definitely make like, I'm thinking like the JRE clips, like 10 minutes of just this and that and that. Because
I'll tell you, with the people's attention span too, man, that's how. That's why when you started putting those out, even me, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll make a ton.
Yeah, no, they those little short clips are awesome. I think they really draw people in because that's what made me go and listen to the podcast. Like, I would be like, I'd see them, like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I want to go hear what they were talking about.
I mean, we unleashed like 20 at least today.
Yeah, so, good.
Nice job, bro.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate it.
That's it. Thank you for listening once again to the Cool Health Podcast. I hope you found some meaning out of this episode. Share this with your friends. Like and subscribe for more. Thank you once again.